This tutorial is about the box mechanism. This is one of the most important mechanisms for building sculptural pop-ups. So here's an example. This is the box, and the way it works is quite basic. If you look at it this way, you can see it's actually two parallelograms centered on the central spine fold. The central pillar pushes up the lid pushes out the top of the sides. This is crucial. And then you have this piece that joins the two outer edges. That's what locks the whole piece into shape. This is used in endless sculptural pop-ups. I've just got a couple of simple ones here. This is just a basic boat, the owl and the pussycat. It's based on the box. This is the box. You can see here's the pillar that pushes up the lid. This is the lid, and then these curved shapes, these are what lock the whole piece into position. This is a slightly more fancy one. This is the basic box. If you look at it end on, you can see there is a pillar glued to the spine that pushes up the lid, the bonnet and the roof, and pushes those up. It's the lids that push out the sides of the top of the structure. And then here's the two ends that lock the whole thing into shape. You will need a ruler as well as a biro or something like that to score with, and glue and scissors. So start with a scored line. This is going to go right across the paper. This is going to be your gluing tabs. Just go right across, do it 3 times. So you got 1, 2, 3. You want strips, so we're just making a really simple small box. So these are going to be cut lines rather than score lines, so we'll just draw it in. There's one there, one here, and 2 more here and here that don't go all the way up, so there we are. So when you cut it out, I'm just going to use a craft knife rather than scissors, and it's just for speed, but you can use either. So just cut along these lines. So you're making 4 strips. You might want to cut against a metal ruler, but you can usually just do it by eye, and then we'll trim these off. So 2 like that and 2 like this. Here we are. Got 2 short ones which are just 2 squares with a tab on each end, and you have 2 long ones that are 3 squares with a tab on each end, and we'll just fold all those fold lines. So here's your base sheet, a single piece of card, thoroughly creased, and then you have your 4 separate strips that are going to make the box. So you've got 2 long ones, 2 short ones. So take one of these long ones, put glue on one end. You glue this one end flush with the spine. So it's like that. And you can just fold that, just make sure it's really comfortable there. So that's one. You now fold it into its closed position. Put glue right up to the crease is quite important. Shut the base. Open that up. Now you've got a parallelogram. This is covered in tutorial 5. Now you build the same thing on the other side of the spine. So you take your other 3-panel strip, put glue on one end, glue it again flush with the spine, close it down, and then glue on the other end of that strip. Put it in its closed position, shut the base. Okay, now you've got two parallelograms back to back. This is still an unstable structure. At this point, if you're going to want something coming up out of the middle, if you want something like the mast on this Owl and Pussycat boat sticking up from the middle of the box, now's your chance to put it in. So if you want that, stick it in now. Otherwise, now you put glue on the surface in the middle here and glue these two back to back. This central pillar takes quite a lot of stress, so it's good to have it double thickness card so that it can push up the top quite easily without buckling. This is still an unstable structure. This is just two parallelograms, and as you can see, it just wobbles around. This is actually the basis of really early pop-ups. The Victorian pop-ups were just made with parallelograms like this, which gave you a floating plane above the page. But it wasn't stable, they could just wobble around. It was still 3D, but not a rigid structure. Then you take one of these two panel pieces, and these stick across. They attach to the outer planes, and where the tabs go really doesn't matter. It's a question of your design. They can go inside or outside. And these, yeah, I'm just going to do it on the outside just for simplicity. You can put glue on both tabs at the same time. Glue them in, glue them on. Shut the base just to make it firm. Now this is a rigid structure. You don't need the panel on the other end, only if you're really wanting to make a solid box. Also, it doesn't need to be the full height of the box. You know, as long as it's joining the two outer planes, then it will work. The difference between these and the floating plane type mechanism that we looked at in tutorial 12 is as you close the base, the lid sinks down and the outer end comes up. So it will stop you having anything that juts out forwards. You can have pieces that are jutting out this way and this way, but in this case they can't jut out directly from the top. So now I'm going to show you a whole range of amazing pop-ups, pop-up sculptures that are all based on the box like this. So this book is The Nutcracker by Nick Denchfield, and it has a really amazing flamboyant display. The important thing in this tutorial is this piece at the back. This is the box. So as the rest folds down, the rest is all based on V-folds. The box at the back stays vertical. If we look at the back of it, you can see here's the central pillar that pushes up the lid on the top, and then the lid pushes out the top of the walls at the side. So as it closes, you can see how that works. So that's the box as part of a big display. The next one I'd like to show you is Roaring Lion Tales by Ron Vandermeer. This is an interesting variation. This is a circular variation. It's still stuck down parallel to the spine on each side, but the ends are rounded more like the boat that I showed you at the beginning. And as you close the base, you can see that the top of the box sinks down. And this has a chunk cut away from the side, so you can see inside, you can see the central pillar, and that actually has some movement on it. So it's quite an interesting sculpture, this one really. Next we have, this is another variation, the way this one's been used. This is Great Pop-Up Buildings of the World by David F. Smith. And this model of the Golden Gate Bridge, this is based on the box. If you look, there is a central pillar pushing up the lid, which is the deck of the bridge, and then these side bits, those are the pieces that lock the whole thing into shape. So as it closes, you can see all the components of the box are there, but it's just in a really unusual configuration. Next we have Dinotopia by James Gurney, and here it is. this dinosaur with a curved shape. The curved shape is tutorial 13. It's built onto a strap, which is tutorial 9. And as we close it, you can see the central pillar pushing up the box. The lid is inside the dinosaur, and then these are the sides that hold it all together. So this is a curved shape built on top of a box and built onto a strap, so the whole thing is not centered on the center of the book, but off to the side. Next we have Hormats pop-up book of famous ships. This is a really beautiful little pop-up. This is very unusual. Most of these box designs, they go up and down the central spine of the book. This one is really clever. It's built going across it. If you look at it end on, you'll see there's the pillar coming up from the spine that pushes up the deck. The sides of the ship are the ends that lock it into place. And in actual fact, it does go to, there is a slight straight bit at each end. But yeah, beautiful bit of design, that one. This book is Pop-Up Board Games with Paper Engineering by Matt Johnston. And here's the one I want to show you. This is another boat. If you look at it as it closes, you'll see there's a pillar in the middle that is pushing up the deck. And then the deck is pushing out the sides of the boat. Interestingly, this mast is, because it's got rigging, the rigging is stuck to the sides of the boat. As the book closes, it's the deck is going down, but the sides of the boat are going up. So you can't have the mast stuck to the top of the rigging and stuck to the base. This mast, it's loose, it slides up and down inside the deck. The next one is Fabulous Flying Machines, Paper Engineering by Ib Pennick, and this is a really amazing sculpture. It's based on the box with a whole series of parallelograms. If you look at it end on, you'll see there's the central pillar, pushes it up, and then the bottom wing is the equivalent of the lid of the box, and then it's just a whole series of parallelograms. And this piece at the front, that's part of what locks it into shape, but also in this case these propellers, these are at diagonals, and so as the page closes, those are stuck into the two corners of the parallelogram that go further apart, and then as the page closes, those are coming together till you reach the right position, and then they lock the whole thing into shape. Next we have Willie Bullock's Max's Machines. This is the most extraordinary set of sculptures, really, and this is the one I want to show you, the massive truck. It goes beyond this tutorial. This is really extraordinary. It actually has a pull strip built into it. When you pull the strip, the truck lifts up and dumps the contents of the back. I can show you this sideways on. As you pull the tab, the whole back of the truck lifts up and dumps the tarmac or whatever out. You know, really extraordinary sculpture, that one. Next we go to quite an old one. This is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang by Hallmark. Paper Engineering by Paul Taylor. This is the car. Again, this is based on the box. If you look at it end on, you'll see there's a pillar in the middle that pushes up the lid. The lid is inside. It's really hard to see. If you look this way, you can probably see inside there is the lid, which the central pillar pushes up, and then the lid pushes out the sides, and then the bonnet of the car goes over the top. So on these structures, you have to have the lid inside, because as the page closes, as the book closes, the lid goes down, and if you want the bonnet to stay popping up, that has to be a separate piece. So there's the lid inside, the pillar in the centre pushes up the lid pushes out the walls on the side, and then this is a separate piece stuck on top. Next we've got The Wizard of Oz by Robert Sabuda, and in this spread, this house is the box. So if you look at it end on, you'll see there is a pillar, pushes up this little bit here, and then this is the piece that links the two outer walls. So this is using the box with the book as a background rather than a base. So There it is. You can see just the way as on this. Here's the original one I showed you. So you can see as it closes, the lid goes down, but the wall that locks it all into shape, that comes forward. So in effect, what we've got in this case is this. So this is the roof of the house going up as it closes. And here it is. As it closes, you can see the roof of the house going up. So this on the side is another separate interesting mechanism. This is the automatic pull strip that we look at in tutorial 16. So this is the last one, Brer Rabbit, paper engineering by Vic Dapperwhite. And here we have, this is the strap again, and this is the tower. This is a box mechanism. And at the end, here again, we've got, again, it's built onto a strap. And this pony and cart, that's a box mechanism. You can see it end on there. So you can see the central pillar pushing up the lid pushing out the sides. So that's the box. It's dealt with in detail in this, my book, Pop-Up Design and Paper Mechanics.